had planned on doing a series on the 12 steps, going through each step and just taking 10, 15 minutes, whatever, on each step. And I already did step 1. And that's a hard step for a lot of people. A lot of people never get there. If you look at statistics, most people who end up with a diagnosis of chemical dependency or addiction will die from that. So they never get to step 1. In step 1, we admitted that we were powerless over alcohol and or drugs, and we admitted our lives are unmanageable. In 2009, that was not hard for me to see at all. In the years leading up to that, I don't know why it was hard for me to see, but it definitely wasn't in 2009. So in the 12-step world, typically step 1 is labeled as the problem, and step 2 is labeled as the solution to that problem. Step 2 reads, we came to believe that a power greater than us could restore us to sanity. You hear that in movies, you hear it in TV shows, power greater than yourself, that kind of language. I want to say up front for this video, we're not talking about religion here. That is not a topic I'll probably be discussing. I'm not qualified, definitely. And it really doesn't matter, what I believe religiously. I have always felt like religion is man's stamp on spiritual principles. Spiritual principles have been on this planet for a long, long time. And in my spiritual path and trying to be a better person and trying to stay sober and working a 12-step program, there are 4 principles that we try to live by. And those are love, unselfishness, purity, and honesty. In the 12 steps as a whole, there is a point in the 12 steps where you're asked to talk about shortcomings and character defects, and we try to replace our shortcomings with those 4 principles. The big one, I think, for a lot of people is purity. Because I think we lose that over the years. May it be the media, may it be, what we're interested in. We get so desensitized to, watching videos and playing video games and going to see movies. I think purity is key. I really do. I try to look at motives in things and why I do certain things. Obviously, honesty is key. And for me, of course, a big one's unselfishness. Am I being selfish in a situation? Whatever the matter is. But let's pull it back to step 2. So we came to believe that a power greater than us could restore us to sanity. What's a good definition of sanity? You'll hear things like a sound mind. The definition I like is a quiet mind and a peaceful heart. The times in my life where when I lay my head down on the pillow, my mind's not racing. I can just lay down and fall asleep because I don't have worries. I have a spiritual connection. The bills are paid. The kids are happy. Sarah's happy. My parents are healthy. Whatever. And at different times of my life, that's going on. But if we're looking from the perspective of alcohol, I'm a person who has years of sobriety. So if I go back to the first time I really worked the second step, it was a period in my life where I didn't really know what to believe. I had been raised in a specific religion, and a sponsor sat with me, and we had talked about step 1, and we're sitting on the second step in 12-step literature, and he's going, okay, Brandon, what are you willing to believe? Are you willing to believe that your higher power is powerful enough to keep you sober and clean every day? That's a heck of a question. I wasn't able to do it. I'm the guy that would have dirty urines in rehab. I couldn't even stay clean in rehab. I couldn't even stay clean in jail. I'm that guy. So I obviously can't keep me clean. The treatment center can't even keep me clean. Am I willing to believe there's a higher power out there? Definitions on a higher power can be a lot of different things. On the simplest level, if I have to move a refrigerator and I can't move it on my own, and I say, hey, Sarah, come help me move this refrigerator, that's a power greater than myself. Because I could not do that on my own. I could not move that fridge on my own. Sarah and I working together is a power greater than myself. Now, if Sarah's God, we're screwed. And of course I say that jokingly, but that's a simple idea. Could I grow on that? I was the type of person when I got sober that if you said the word God, I would cringe. Mostly because I believed that I was eventually going to be punished for the things I did while I was drinking and using. I still had a lot of guilt and shame of the things I had done to people. Robbing, stealing, lying, manipulating, So I still had all that on my shoulders and in my mind and in my heart. And, but I had this thing within me that I knew that maybe if I just said these little prayers in AA, my sponsor had told me to, in the morning, say, please help me stay sober. And at night, thank you for helping me stay clean. Amen. And that's how I would live my days. 3 months went by. 6 months went by, and it was working. Well, I expressed that to him, and I still had this open mind of a higher power. And he said, well, why don't you add a little something to that prayer? So I started saying in the mornings, please help me stay sober and help me be a good person. And at night I would say, thank you for helping me stay clean, and please help keep my friends and family safe and healthy. Amen. On those simple little prayers, I gained an entire spiritual path. I'm probably not a very religious person, but I pray more than most of the people I know. It works for me. The second step is really just a consideration. We're just considering that maybe there's something out there. Through sponsoring other guys, you run into a lot of people that are agnostic, not atheist. I have a lot of respect for people that are atheists because you have to be very secure in your beliefs to do that. In terms of people who are agnostic, which I was for a long time. And agnosticism really, in my experience, is really you believe in something, but you don't really know what that higher power has to do with you. Like, I believed in God, but I didn't think that had anything to do with me. I just thought that, whatever this higher power thing wasn't interested in me. So that's how agnosticism played in my life. Once I started believing, my life got better immediately. And I could feel it, I could see it, I could touch it because it was all around me. It was obvious. It was like somebody flipped on a light switch. It was a spiritual experience. Absolutely. Like drugs. Didn't happen right away. It was an educational thing. I had to read, I had to go to meetings, I had to say these little prayers. But slowly but surely, I started feeling better. And then I had 6 months sober, and then I had 9 months sober. All because I sat with a sponsor and said, yeah, I'm willing to consider these possibilities. I'm willing to consider that perhaps there's something out there that cares about whether I live or die or not. And no, it's not human. Maybe it's an energy. I don't think it's up sitting on a cloud throwing lightning bolts. I don't think it sits in parking lots, and when a parking spot opens up front, it says, "Oh, here you go, Brandon Pittman. This one's yours." I don't think in that kind of higher power. I think it's much bigger than that.
So I had a great aunt and uncle. Sarah never got to meet them. They'd been gone a long time. Well, probably almost 10 years. Well, no, I was sober. Probably 7, 8 years. And when I was a little boy, they would, every time they didn't have any kids, and they would always say, "Brandon, say your prayers. Say your prayers," and they would hold my hands together like I was praying. And they would beg me to say my prayers. Best advice I ever got. As a child, as an adult. Best advice I ever got. Because if you're going to pray, why worry? And if you're going to worry, why pray? Kind of defeat each other, don't they? You know, the second step was really my opportunity to define what I believed. And what was I willing to believe? Was I willing to say, you know, what if I was wrong about everything I believed? Because I can tell you, I prayed in the back of every cop car I was ever in. If you get me out of this one, I'll never do it again. And sometimes those prayers were answered. But I didn't hold up my end of the bargain. If you get me out of this one, I'll go to church. I'll call Mom and tell her I'm okay. And I didn't hold up my end of the bargain. They call those foxhole prayers for a reason. Some of you know that. These days, I try to just be a good person. Sarah can tell you plenty of the things I do to try to do the right thing, the next right thing. A lot's been said about me on YouTube, and you have no clue. You may never, and that's okay. I just live by example and do what I do. I don't think that I'm a human being having a spiritual experience. I think that I'm a spiritual being having a human experience. There's a good bumper sticker for you. The second step is the solution. We don't have enough power. We were powerless over alcohol and drugs. We were unmanageable. We needed power from somewhere, and human power didn't work with me. I'd had therapists, I'd had counselors, I'd had different girlfriends, I'd had everything. I'd tried everything you can think of to stay sober, other than dedicating my life to a spiritual path. And as soon as I did it, my life changed for the better. So the central question in step 2 in 12-step literature, the literature I'm familiar with, is God is either everything or he's nothing. What is your choice to be? And today, on this day, I think God is. I think God is everything. So, this is a little bit of a different talk. You guys have probably never heard me talk this way. It just happens to be the second step. Third step's kind of similar in terms of the way we talk about our higher power and what we believe. If the God word shakes you up, that word's used in a lot of religions. It's used to describe a higher power. I'm not talking about a specific religion. So calm down. And if it absolutely offends you, I'm not going to apologize. Have it be whatever you believe. You know, I'm not one to sit here and tell people what they need to believe. It's whatever you believe. If you believe in nothing, that's what you believe. I can tell you what worked for me. I can tell you that the spiritual path is more powerful than any combination of drugs I ever did. Times 10. It wasn't a strong buzz, but it was one that I've chased ever since. And there's a much more deeper buzz once you get into all 12 steps. So that's my best to bundle up the second step in a short period of time. We get a pretty good response on the first step. If we get a good response on the second step, I'll probably do the third step anyway. And the third step comes with a very special prayer. So I'll hopefully be doing that soon. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Have a good one.